Well, good morning, everyone. So today we are going to get ready together, and it is a day that I'm not working, so the sun is actually up while I'm getting ready, which is such a nice change. So I'm gonna put my little headband on and we're gonna get ready together. I've already moisturized my face. Today I just wanted to try this is like too tight. Is my head getting bigger? Oh my gosh. Anyway, I wanted to try some new products. Some of these are products I have been trying for a while, and then some of them are newer to me, so it's kind of just a mixed bag, but I like doing these once or twice a month just to chat with you guys and get ready together as the title would suggest. I'm always upfront with you guys when a video is sponsored, and this is sponsored by Physicians Formula. I'm actually only using one of their products. It's their Butter Collection palette. Is anyone else, like, I love the butter blushes, I love the butter bronzers, and so the fact that they have a palette now and it has a perfume and a highlighter in it is so exciting. And side note, the perfume, it's an eau de toilette and it's a spray, and it is literally, it smells like the butter bronzer, but just a little bit sweeter. It smells amazing. So if you've loved that kind of beachy, coconutty, amazing smell, you will love this. Anyway, so I will talk about that here in a bit when I get to getting ready with it, but I wanted to mention it now, just so you're aware, because I don't want you to feel sideswiped like, oh my gosh, this is a sponsor and I didn't find out until 10 minutes in. Anywho, but let's start at the beginning of my face. So like I said, I've already moisturized and put some eye cream on, some lip balm, but the primer I wanted to try out today, I've only used this once or twice. It is it's from IPKN or IPKN, I'm not sure. It's their Radiant Cream Primer. It has SPF of 15. It's a squeezy bottle and just kind of like a white semi-iridescent cream. And I just really lightly put that over my moisturizer. I liked this the few times I've used it so far because it is so, I don't know, just it is light and airy, but it's still creamy. And it has this quality to it that is definitely iridescent, but not glittery. You know what I mean? So, and then really most primers aren't glittery, thank goodness. But I've really liked the way my skin looks with this. Even if, like, I've put this on, one of the times I wore it, I put this on and didn't put anything else on. I was just kind of trying it on a naked face. You know what I mean? And I walked around for a few hours like that with just this on my skin, and my skin looked so much healthier and glowy, but I didn't have any other coverage on. So it was still kind of nice in that way. So if you're more of a kind of natural girl or guy and you really just want that glow, but you don't really want anything else, this is actually really, really nice. So like I always link all of the products I mentioned below, but this one I've really been enjoying. But I'm trying a new foundation. Boy, everyone talks about this. This is the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Foundation. Everyone seems to be loving this, and I'm like, we're gonna see. Because I feel like even though my dry skin is not nearly as bad as it used to be like a year or two ago, I've really got it under control, I feel like. But really high coverage foundations, I really struggle to find ones that work well with my skin. I've only tried this once. I already have some thoughts, but I figure, okay, let's try this second time. When I used this yesterday, I used it with the Becca First Light primer. I really like this primer. However, it's not super glowy, it's more low-key, which I do like with most foundations, but with this, I didn't like the way they work together. So today, like I said, I'm trying it with that Radiant Cream Primer, and I think that'll be a better base for this kind of a foundation. So it does have a pump, and I have it in the shade 1N2 Vanilla. It's a little yellow for me, but once I got it on yesterday, it worked. So it might seem quite yellow as we first apply it, but it'll look fine. So, I wanted to apply the No Pore-Blem primer to my nose because this is new to me. It's from the brand Touch and Soul. Again, this one's semi-raved about on YouTube, but I'm just gonna kind of tap this into my nose area because I know I've got pores to fill. And I figure maybe this will set better in those areas with a more pore filling primer. So I'm kind of getting around my nose and just pressing it in lightly. Okay, so while that's kind of setting, I'm going to start on my cheeks. So I'm just using my L'Oreal sponge that I love. And what I noticed, like I said, it is a bit yellow. But what I noticed is that it covers with a very thin layer. And that really impressed me. But it was the way it wore throughout the day on my skin. I was not loving it. So that's kind of downside. It made my skin look really dry. And again, it could have been the primer I was pairing it with, and that's why I was excited to try it with a different primer today. One that I know I'm already liking. I've heard that a lot of these tones, a lot of the shades lean kind of yellow. I don't know. I don't know if I like this enough to try for another shade, you know what I mean? Because if I'm not liking the formula, then the shade's not gonna matter, you know? But that was one layer, and I feel like you can really see the difference of the coverage. So, face is covered, one layer. I think I don't need to do a second layer for the amount of coverage I need. This really is a high coverage foundation. And when I layered it on a second layer yesterday, it amps up the coverage even more because I've got little bits of freckles, but I don't mind seeing those. So if you're really in the market for a high coverage foundation, but that is a little bit thinner, I think you'd like this. You know, there are a lot of high coverage foundations that are more whipped or just thicker, and like I know I don't like those. So I think if I were reaching for one, this isn't horrible. But for me, it's almost more of a special event makeup because in person, I don't think it has the look that I like my foundation to have, even when freshly applied. It's just a little bit cakey in certain areas, and I'm gonna keep messing with it. I'm not gonna give up on it that quickly. I don't think this is the most perfect foundation in the world for me, but that's just my 2 cents. Let's keep rolling. So for concealer, I'm trying a really expensive one. I've been using this for a while now, and if you've watched my Snapchat, I've snapped about it a couple of times. This is the Cle de Peau Concealer. It was a holy grail concealer of like Elle Fowler back in the day on YouTube. She's also pregnant right now. But it's a stick concealer, and I have not had a ton of experience with stick concealers, but one thing I've realized, I've been using this for a couple weeks, so this is probably my like 10th time using this. I've realized it's a little bit easier for me to apply it with my finger than it is for me to go in with the stick. So I'm just gonna place this, you can already see the coverage, in the areas my circles are the darkest, if you will. And I have this in the shade, I think I have the lightest shade, Ivory. I'm not sure if that's the lightest, but I think it's close. The thing about this is it's very creamy for a stick concealer. It's not a super dry formula. However, it is still naturally drier than a liquid concealer would be. I mean, that makes sense, right? But what I like about this stuff is that it really does stay in place. I try not to get too much of it in where my fine lines begin. I've already gotten some in there. But the reason being that this still sinks into fine lines, you know? And I can set it, and I will today, just so you can kind of see and so I can brighten the whole area together. But I feel like while it is nice, and I do like it, and I will definitely use this up. I mean, this is very, very nice. I don't know that it's worth $100, guys. I mean, that's an insane amount. If I use this every single day, I would run out of it so quickly. But the nice thing is when you're applying it with your fingers, I think you use a little bit less. At least I feel like I do. And that is kind of nice. I'll even bring it to like the tip of my nose where I'm red and just kind of pat it in. I will also say it's nice because it's really quick to apply. But let me just show you, for example, I have 2 stick concealers that I think are really good that are similar. So this is the Neutrogena Hydra Boost Hydrating Concealer, and it's got like this core of moisture in it, but it's a really, really creamy, like creamier than that. I don't think that this stays in place as well as the Cle de Peau, but I think it does a pretty darn good job, and it's literally a 1/10 of the price. So it's like, you know, how much does it staying in place really matter to you when it still sinks into some fine lines? But another one that's a little bit more expensive, but nowhere near $100, is the Matchmaster concealer from MAC. It's a stick as well. Again, I think it's even more moisturizing than both the Cle de Peau and the Neutrogena. And so I don't feel like it stays in place as well, but it is a really pretty look on the skin, especially if you have really dry under eyes. And this I bought on Hautelook for like 50% off, and it's not expired. I've already checked. It's nice. So I think if I were recommending one of the 2, I'd probably recommend the MAC one over the Neutrogena. I hope all of that made sense. So let's dig into our Butter Collection palette. So I have the light medium version, and they also have the medium deep. So the difference between, and I'll show you some close-ups here, the light has the regular butter bronzer. Then they also have the blush in the shade Natural Glow, and then they have 2 limited edition highlighter shades in there. There's the more ivory colored highlighter in the shade Full Moon, and then the highlighter in Galactic, which is a lot more punchy. And then, like I mentioned earlier, it's got the Butter Paradise Eau de Toilette. Oh my gosh, smells amazing. See, I'm about to spray more and I need to like slow down. The other shade collection they have is the medium to deep, and this one has their deep bronzer. And then they have the blush in the shade Vintage Rouge. And then they have those same two limited edition highlighters in there, Full Moon and Galactic, and the same Butter Paradise perfume. So for me, I'm gonna opt for the light medium, of course, and I'm gonna try to apply as much of this as possible so you can see it. I've been messing with this a lot the past week, and I've just been enjoying it. So I'm gonna use kind of a fluffier brush to apply the bronzer, and I like to tap a little bit off, and then I just kind of, you guys know me, I'm kind of a lazy girl with makeup. I just like stuff that works, that's quick, and it smells so good. And I just kind of lightly dust this in those areas where I like to throw bronzer. The color of this for my skin tone is a really nice kind of healthy flush of bronzer in my opinion. And that's why I think a lot of people like this, is because the shade and the formula together are really nice. It stays on really well throughout the day. There's a reason it's become kind of a cult classic. And these, by the way, are sold at Walmart. So now I'm gonna put on the shade, the blush in Natural Glow with my blush brush. So again, I'm gonna tap off some excess. This looks like a really nice, yeah, I love this. And this stayed on really well. The other day I was looking in the mirror after work and I was like, dang girl, dang, that stayed on really, really nicely. And it's just got this really nice peachy flush. And it's not glittery, but it has this really pretty satin sheen to it, which is my preferred finish of a foundation. So for the highlighter, oh my gosh, let me just show you some swatches of these. Are you kidding me? So we've got Full Moon there and then Galactic on the other side. These are ridiculous. They're so creamy. And also, how have we not talked about how pretty that is? Anywho. So I'm going to grab a highlighter brush that's a little bit lighter, and I'm gonna opt for Full Moon today. That seems more my speed, and as I've tried these out, I really, oh my gosh. I mean, so much. It's so pretty. So I'm just kind of placing this on the tops of my cheekbones, throw a little on the tip of my nose. Sometimes I lightly dust a little bit up on my forehead. But, oh my gosh. It has this gorgeous kind of, I don't want to say yellow tone, but a little bit. But I feel like it catches the light so beautifully. I'll even pull a little bit onto the apples of my cheeks just to kind of amp that part up too. These are limited edition, by the way, so I would predict that these will probably sell out quickly. So it's something that you really want to keep your eyes peeled for if you know you're interested in this, because the Butter collection just in general is a very popular collection, and I think that this is something that I could see selling out and then you can't find. So if you're really interested in it, definitely hop out to Walmart and check it out. Okay, so I just tossed on my brows, which I always use, not always, I often use the Hourglass Arch Brow Pencil in the shade Ash. So I just tossed that on my brows, and then the Ulta Beauty Matte Eye Primer I'm running low on. It's my favorite. So I just put that on my eyes. But before I did my eyeshadow, I wanted to show you, I've had some people asking me to apply this. This is the Charlotte Tilbury, oh my gosh, Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. I use it for my under eye, so I keep it with my concealers. A lot of you guys watched my face powder collection declutter, and I was kind of curating my collection. I had like 25 powders, and I only ended up keeping like, I don't know, 6 or something like that. But anyway, a lot of you guys were like, where's that Charlotte Tilbury powder? I'm like, don't worry, girls. It is in my concealer drawer. It's not going anywhere. This is the best, best, best under eye powder ever, ever, ever. I love it so much. So because I told you that concealer really settles into fine lines, I like to get some of this and just kind of tap it into that area, and it brightens, it helps it not fall into those fine lines as easily. It's nothing I've ever found is completely foolproof, but it does a great job, and it's not quite as cakey as like a looser powder or other, you know, thicker like powder foundations or anything. This is really thin powder and really brightening. I personally have it in the shade number 1 Fair. Worth every penny. Will repurchase it because I will definitely run out of this. Like I literally, it is so flipping amazing. I'll link it below. Okay, so now that face basically is done, we're just gonna focus on the eyes. So I'm gonna try out this Urban Decay. They sent this to me, the Beached eyeshadow palette. So the shades are, they're really pretty, but again, it's that same warm palette you're seeing everywhere with little bits of blue, but it is really pretty. So do I think many other palettes are kind of the same setup? Yes. Does that mean this is a bad product? Not necessarily. So this truly is a first impressions because I have never tried this. So the packaging is kind of interesting. It's kind of like that papery cardboard stuff. I don't know, but it's pretty to look at. Let's give it a try. So I'm going to, like I said, I've already primed my eyes, so I'm going to take this shade in Salt, which is more of like an almondy shade, and just kind of, oh, it's a little bit more shimmery than I anticipated. It's pretty on the brow bone though, so I'm just kind of putting it everywhere. Someone the other day was like, they watched a video of mine and I blew on my palette or brush, and that's totally just something I do. And I know it's not a great habit, but it's just what I do. And someone was like, oh my gosh, did you seriously just blow on your brush? I was like, I know, it's insane. It's really hard to believe, but I did. Like, it's like, there are bigger problems in the world. Okay, anyway, so these are some pretty shades. So I'm torn about what exactly I want to do. I think I want to do some of this blue like on the lower lash line or something instead of just all over the lid like I'm kind of drawn to do. I think I want to do something a little different. But I'm going to put some of this Blaze shade on my lid. It's kind of a light gold. Just kind of tap it there. It's a really pretty shade. This one's really pigmented. It's kind of a shade, I feel like you don't, it might sound crazy, but I feel like I don't see this shade often. It's like it's almost got a pinky iridescent quality to it at the same time as it's like a pale gold. All right, so now I'm going to take a little bit more of a detailed brush and get this shade Daybreak, which is a matte. I'm going to actually tap some of that off because that's a lot. Just kind of focus that in the crease a little bit in the outer corner. It's a nice shade because it's not too dark, but it's not too light either. It really does define nicely, and then I can blend it out here in a second a little bit better. So now I'm going to go back with that Salt color and kind of help that, use that to kind of blend the edges of this a little bit. Not really any fallout from this, which is nice. I feel like most of the palettes I use nowadays have that fallout where I feel like, oh, I should have done my eyes before my face, or, oh, I need to clean it up. But so far, I've only used 3 shades, but there wasn't really any fallout. So I'm going to take a little bit of this 16th Street shade, which is like this deeper gold, on a brush, and kind of pat that towards, from the middle to the outer corner a little bit. It's deeper than I thought, but it's pretty. Kind of a bronzy gold. Oop, that had fallout. See, Jess, you should have blown on it. I'm gonna take some more of that Blaze color from earlier and kind of blend it into that gold bronze shade. So, as promised, I wanna take this brighter blue shade, Double Dip, and actually I'm gonna use a thinner brush. And I'm gonna get some of that on kind of more of an eyeliner shaped angled brush, and I'm just gonna press that into my lower lash line, see how it looks. Definitely a nice bright blue. Doing blue on the lower lash line is such an easy way to throw some color in without like really fully committing to anything, you know? Because the second I throw some blue on my lid, it's like we are doing a blue eye, you know what I mean? But this is a really simple, quick way to do that. It doesn't really take a lot of talent, and it'll look better once I get some more liner on the top and stuff like that. But actually, now that I'm saying that, maybe I'll use this deeper color Plunge and line my upper lid with that, just to see how that looks. Like, is it deep enough? I don't know that it is. Yeah, I don't love that. I'm gonna go, you can kind of see it. I could continue doing it, it would look fine, but I think I just wanna go with a black on the top today to kind of counteract that blue, but you could totally do that as well. So, verdict on this, I think it blended really, really nicely. I think it was more pigmented than a lot of, like, I don't know, Urban Decay lately has been very hit or miss with their shadows, like especially their shimmers. They do so well in the Naked palettes, and then they'll come out with other palettes and I'll swatch them and I'm like, why aren't they using the same formula for this? Like, so this was a step in the right direction, I think, for them. So if these colors are screaming out to you, then it might be worth it. If they're not, it's not worth it. So if you need me to tell you not to go buy it just because it's new, don't go buy it because it's new. Really only buy it if you're like, wow, I would use every shade in that. All right, so I finished my eyes. I ended up lining, if you're just curious. These are products I've been loving for a while. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Longwear Eye Pencil. Such a creamy, eyeliner, standard black, but I love it. It's so, so good. It's drugstore. I was gonna say, especially for the drugstore, but frankly, the drugstore makes really good eyeliners. And then also drugstore, the NYX Epic Ink Liner is how I did my wing and just kind of blackened everything. And then the mascara I threw on is my favorite, the Essence Lash Princess mascara. This is like 2 or 3 coats, but I love it, and it's like $5. So the last thing I wanted to try today, I've been using for the past 2 weeks. It's Urban Decay Chill Makeup Setting Spray. I don't remember if this is the new packaging or if this is the old. And the reason I say that is because I also bought this on Hautelook for like 50% off, so it was half the price as normal. Hautelook is linked to Nordstrom Rack. So like makeup you can find at Nordstrom Rack for 50% off, you can also find on Hautelook's website because they're like the same. Anyway, so I've been loving this when I have a really matte foundation on like I do. I feel like it helps it kind of sink together into my skin. So, and it just feels so good. I put way too much on, but it feels so good. All right, for my lips, I'm gonna put on the L'Oreal Color Riche Matte Lip Liner in the shade Matte's It. I've been using this a while. This formula is so, so, so good. It's so creamy, easy to sharpen. And then the lipstick I'm trying, I just bought this from Sephora. This is the Kat Von D Studded Kiss Cream Lipstick in Lovecraft. I've never tried any of these. It looked like a really pretty pink. Oh yeah. So without really meaning to, that lip liner and lipstick combo created a really nice ombre effect on my lips. Didn't even know that it would. I honestly thought these would match better, but yeah, but I think it looks nice. Do I love it with this eye look? I'm not so sure, but I just wanted to try this lipstick out, so I figured, for the sake of science, I will try it on. We'll see. I'm gonna try this and just see kind of how it wears, but I figured the MAC lip gloss in Cultured would look really pretty over it, but I kind of want to leave it the way it is. So that is all that I wanted to try with you guys today. Thanks again to Physicians Formula for sponsoring this video. And like I said, if you're interested in the Butter Collection palette, definitely check it out at Walmart. And I'm excited about it. I love all of those products, and I feel like they look really nice and they last really well throughout the day. So other than that, I will have links to everything I mentioned down below as well. And if you enjoyed, I hope you'll subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.